Hello and welcome to the pre-conference podcast for the Summit on Energy Efficiency for the Life Science Industry that is going to take place in Berlin on the 3rd and 4th of November. Today we have the pleasure of introducing you Benjamin Bruet with Siemens. Benjamin, thank you very much for joining us today. To start off, could you please tell me about your role in the company and a small introduction about the company itself?
Sure. Thanks, Dmitry, and hello, everybody. So my name is Benjamin Bruet. I'm the head of energy performance services within the smart infrastructure division of Siemens. And more specifically, I'm in charge of the Southwest Europe region. And so energy performance services is an entity within Siemens who focuses on developing projects and services with guaranteed performance, typically related to energy reduction or decarbonization. It's an entity that's been about 25 years around within Siemens, and we cater to all kinds of customer segments, industry, real estate.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Benjamin. Now, when speaking about the pharmaceutical and the med device manufacturing industry, the topic of sustainability has become one of the primary concerns today. Many companies are currently bent on strategizing their decarbonization path. Why is that?
Well, definitely decarbonization is the topic of the day, or probably even the decade, or maybe the next 30 years. And what is that? Well, first of all, there have been quite a few impulse at the global level in that direction. I'm thinking, for instance, about the COP21, sorry, in Paris 7 years ago in 2015, where many countries pledged to reach a certain reduction in GHG emissions, CO2 emissions. And the companies are the next in line, right? And so many large companies started pledging again, and I would say now it's clear that everyone has to contribute. And also, when you think about decarbonization, it's an effort that will completely transform society, but also for life science companies, for instance, their industrial sites, their office buildings. It is such a large effort that it's not like you can restart it every 3 years. So your initial plan might not be perfect, but it has to be a very good one, because there will be important investment behind it, and you don't want to miss that. So if we talk about deadlines, many companies today are targeting already a very significant reduction of GHG emissions by 2030. 2030 is only 8 years from now. So the plan it is really almost late to have a plan, and for sure everybody needs a plan. So right now that's really a key for every large company to have this decarbonization plan.
Thank you very much, Benjamin, for sharing that. From what I've heard, energy efficiency has been a focus for the life science companies for a long time. Why can't you continue do things the same way?
Well, I mean, it's true that most industrial companies have always been focused on energy efficiency for obvious financial reasons. First, because it often reduces their costs, and also out of environmental concerns, which have been around for a long time. But one topic first is that decarbonization is not just about energy efficiency, although energy efficiency maybe is the first lever, and one that is absolutely critical, one also that usually has rather good return on investment. But decarbonization is also about transitioning from carbonized energy to decarbonized ones. And also, just physically, if you look at energy efficiency, there is no way an industrial plant can reduce to zero energy. At some point, you will have reached a physical limit, and where you actually need some energy to produce things or to transform things. So yeah, energy efficiency cannot be the single solution to decarbonization. Another point also is that industrial companies have been quite good at bringing energy efficiency programs within their plants, within their buildings, and local teams. They're used to do incremental progresses on energy efficiency and measure it over the years, which has been, I think, a great success for those companies. But the issue with decarbonization is that you have to fully decarbonize the plant, and you will do it only once. So at some point, when you do things incrementally, you hit the wall where investment become really big, return on investment is smaller. Also, even the outcome is not so completely sure, because you tend to leave the hard things for last, right? And so, which is why you can not really go on like this for 30 years, because the low-hanging fruits, they've all been made. And this brings us back to the first question, where it is now the time to really have a fully encompassing plan, a strategy, so that you know exactly how you're going to reach that full decarbonization of your plan. And clearly that is different from the energy efficiency programs as we've conceived them in the past.
I fully agree, Benjamin. And what has changed within Siemens on the decarbonization and the energy management front?
Well, Dmitry, a lot has changed actually, because Siemens has been one of the first large industrial companies to actually make a commitment regarding decarbonization. So in 2015, we said we would be carbon neutral by 2030, and we've not been waiting for this deadline. We've actually already reached more than 50% of decarbonization of all our building and plants. So there's the Siemens scope, so to speak, scope 1 and scope 2, but there's also what's called the scope 3, which is the entire supply chain, meaning all the emissions from our suppliers, everything we actually need to manufacture our products and to roll out our services. We also made a commitment recently on our supply chain that it would be fully decarbonized by 2050. And that obviously is a commitment we make on behalf of our suppliers. So it's not enough. We also have to help them reach such a target. And so since 2019, we've been very actively helping them through programs to also decarbonize their own companies. And so my division, Energy Performance Services, focuses very much on this, how to bring a notion of energy and sustainability performance to companies with guaranteed outcomes, with visibility, with the capacity to finance it, meaning that it really becomes a competitive lever and not a burden for the companies. So that are the topics my teams deal with, and that we apply every day to Siemens' own plants and buildings, and that we also bring to our customers.
Those are very interesting points that you've made, Benjamin. But how can companies cope with simultaneous decarbonization investments and the fast increase of their energy budgets, especially in the EU?
That's a good question, and it's true that the current situation, or the one that we've seen in maybe the last 12 months in Europe, is a very specific one. And a lot of customers are coming to us with questions on what they should do. But really, there are only two options, right? Either you do nothing, or you actually start solving this issue. If you do nothing, for me, the biggest problem is that you have very high energy prices for the past 12 months, and they show no sign of abating, and it's likely that relationship with Russia are not going to be improved, at least when it comes to the energy supply, anytime soon. Unfortunately, and that globally we're still going to have high energy prices for a long time. Also, we know that oil and gas resources are not infinite, so long-term trend is also an important increase of the energy prices. And finally, we also have the carbon prices, which have increased a lot over the past 2 years, and very likely will remain high and even get higher. So if you do nothing, essentially you're giving away all that money you could have invested. You're giving it to your energy supplier, and it's likely that in a few years you will still be in the same situation. And what will have happened is that you will also very likely have missed an important time window that is currently open. This time window is that we see hyperinflation in energy prices, ×2, ×3, especially in Europe. But for the other equipment, other materials, it's not that high. And so even though we do see an increase in inflation for other products and equipment, there is still a time window where basically the payback times for decarbonization and energy reduction project are much better than they were a couple of years ago. And that time window, whenever the prices for the equipment and so on, they finally catch up with the increase in energy, because energy hyperinflation will have an impact on all industry segments, because everything requires energy, and eventually this will be leveled. If you miss that time window where you can actually invest in project with good payback, then you will be in a much worse place a few years from now compared to your competitors who actually did act. So, of course, if you acted already a few years ago, all the better for you. But right now might actually be the perfect time to start investing in decarbonization and energy efficiency.
That's a very good point. Thank you, Benjamin. Coming to my last question, what actual help has digitalization to the decarbonization and energy efficiency challenge? How do you see this evolve?
Dmitry, digitalization is really a core topic, a core interest for Siemens. We've been at the forefront of automation for a long, long time, right? We were really a key player, I would say, in this revolution. If you think about automation, it is about reaching a high level of autonomy and efficiency for equipment, for instance, or for systems, so that they can reach a certain potential, let's say, a certain level of efficiency. For me, digitalization is about bringing this potential one notch up. It's really about bringing the physical world to the full potential thanks to data, because automation is about things being programmed. It's about handling a certain number of events and adapting to it, but it cannot adapt to any kind of event. It's made to work in a certain environment, in a certain set of conditions, and it does this very well. Digitalization, it's really about adapting even more to a bigger variety of equipment, of systems, to an environment with even more aspects to it, and being able to adapt in real time to it, and of course help make the right decisions, take the right behaviors, the optimized behaviors at any time. Okay, so when it comes to energy efficiency and decarbonization, it is key, as it is in other parts of let's say other relevant parts to the industry. It's really about being able in real time to optimize, to adapt, and if we've reached let's say the limits of the optimization, to alert the the people and help them also make complex decisions on the spot. So it really is about following this crest line of almost complete optimization. And what helps for this is clearly the capacity to use computers, so to make things digital in a sense. And so to connect the real world with the world of numbers and of computers. And so to give you an example in the realm of energy efficiency, of decarbonization, one that I found quite compelling is, for example, the field of flexibility. Electrical flexibility. When you have a certain consumption in your building or in your site, in your manufacturing site, so things going as usual, adapting to the requirements of the production, and then all of a sudden events in the energy market, or even with the weather, trigger the fact that the energy becomes more pricey, or maybe it becomes more carbonized because, for instance, you have coal electricity generating plants that were started, and so for a few hours during the day, peak demand, and it's when the electricity is most carbonized. Imagine you also have a set of PV photovoltaic panels. You have a battery, and you have also certain consumptions linked, for instance, to your electrical vehicles. Meaning even your own site's been a bit more difficult to forecast, right? How do you actually manage to prioritize your consumption with your different assets on your plant, and at the same time ensure you are using the electricity as green as possible, because you have commitments, right, on decarbonization and on the use of carbonized energy. Well, for this you will need all your different assets, let's say a large electrical battery, a microgrid, your PV panels to tell you here's how much I'm producing every minute or so, and also being connected to the grid to know the level of carbon, the price levels as well, and full-time optimization, real time, that balances everything, so that in the end, at the end of the year, you are where you wanted in terms of decarbonization objectives. And at the same time, you always take the best financial decisions for your own plant, and also ensure that in the end, your electrical vehicle was charged, because maybe it is also critical to your production, and so on and so forth. Without digitization, there's no way a human being, even in front of the best of the computers, is going to be able to reach the optimum point at every minute. It's just simply is impossible. So yeah, that's one example of the complexity of the world today, and how digitization can help it to make the best decisions and take the best actions in real time when it comes to energy efficiency and decarbonization.
I absolutely agree. Benjamin, thank you very much for making the time to join me today and giving us your insight on the future of the life science industry. We're very excited to have you on the speaker board of the summit, and we will really be looking forward to hearing your case study in Berlin. I would also like to use this opportunity to invite everyone to the European Summit on Energy Efficiency for the Life Sciences Industry on the 3rd and the 4th of November in Berlin to hear Benjamin Bruet's insight and many other exciting discussions.